Hi, love bugs. It's Saskia here, your friendly neighborhood dominatrix. And in today's video, we are going to be exploring why so many men are coming to me to explore their femininity and why so many people are being drawn to sissification and exploring their femininity in that way. Before we jump into all of that good stuff, I want to state that I am just one person in the world with my own unique lens of perception. I am simply telling my stories and what I believe to be true, but that is very much my opinion and is also completely okay for you to have a difference of opinion to me. It is welcomed. The world is beautiful because we are different, so I encourage conversation, but let's be kind to one another. Let's be kind. So yeah, let's jump into today's video. We come into the world and almost immediately we begin to be told who we are. We get given a set of instructions, a name, a gender, a way of being. Be this, want this, feel this way. No, not that way. That's not meant for you. And we absorb it because we're small and we're soft and we need to belong. So we shape ourselves around that story that we have been given. And eventually we forget that it's a story and we become so connected and so attached to that story that we think that it is us. Now, I've been asking myself that question for a long time. Who am I in this moment, in this present moment, without the stories that I've been gifted, without the labels, just this moment? Who am I right now? And turns out I am not alone in asking that question. I'm a professional dominatrix. I've been doing this work for 5 years, and in that time, one of the most consistent things that men bring into the sessions is a version of that very same question. And now that question might not be asked with words, it might be asked with the body. It might be asked with a request to be dressed differently, to step into a different story, to be able to behave, to feel differently, to exist for just an hour outside of the story that they were handed. And this video today is going to be about that, about what I have witnessed in those rooms, about the cultural time that we're in, about loneliness, about rage and the road taken, and mainly truly about what happens to a person when they are finally genuinely witnessed and allowed to be whoever they want to be in that moment. Now, most of us have a very strong sense of identity, set of personality traits, the clothes that we wear, the way that we act, the things that we like, the ways in which we feel that we are free to be. And unfortunately, so much of what shapes our identity really doesn't come from a conscious choice that we have made. We are told stories, we are adorned with labels, and that changes ultimately how we see ourselves and how we see the world around us. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that that's entirely wrong or that we should burn it all down, because structure gives us somewhere to stand. Structure helps us feel safe in the world, but it also fundamentally shapes how we move through the world, how we feel pleasure, how we relate to other people, how we allow other people in. And today, the video is going to be focused on people assigned male at birth and raised as men, and why it is that they're being more and more drawn to stepping into containers where they can express their femininity. Because that inheritance, that very particular set of conditions for men, be strong, be certain, provide, don't need, don't soften, and don't ask for too much, and definitely don't cry, and absolutely do not wear that dress, or really any kind of colour. In an ideal world, don't express yourself. The feminine is often seen as soft, receptive, emotional expressiveness, the pleasure of being seen. All of those qualities that we typically align with femininity, they often get cordoned off for the masculine. They get labelled, they get made dangerous. So those qualities, those traits, those ways of being almost become underground. They become taboo to access. So much so that we have to pay people like me to allow them to wear a dress and to exist in their femininity and, to feel pleasure, different kinds of pleasure. The containers that I create in my work imagine a world without those labels, without those predetermined identities. I build together with the brave individuals that come and explore with me frameworks for vulnerability, pathways to sensuality and pleasure that aren't wrapped up in what your genitals are, what you have between your legs. Where if you so choose to, you can dance in frilly underwear or you can adorn yourself in latex. Neither of those things mean anything except this is what is alive in you right now. And parts of people in those spaces melt away. They melt. Parts that have been waiting for a very long time to take the wheel, to have their voice heard and expressed. And that is so fucking juicy. It is so energizing. It is the most alive thing that I get to witness. And it's an experience and a truth that a lot of men unfortunately don't get to have. Where they get to step into a different story for a moment. Men are lonely. Not all men. Not in every single moment. But collectively, there is a loneliness epidemic happening, and it is particularly acute for men. Those are the people who are feeling alone the most. And study after study after study continue to show that men have fewer close relationships, fewer people in their life that they can be genuinely honest with, emotionally raw with, and so therefore fewer opportunities where they can feel genuinely seen. And something truly awful happens when humans are lonely, chronically lonely. They go searching. Understandably, they go out into the world searching, grasping, hoping to belong, for a mirror, for something, somewhere, someone that will take them exactly as they are. And here is the thing that often keeps me up at night. The container that we currently live in really has two answers for that longing, and they both lead in completely different directions. Now, one answer is a dark corner on the internet, in a forum. It's a community that says your loneliness is her fault, their fault. Those fucking feminists, those women that don't want you, that society who's emasculated you. Your pain is real, and here is someone to blame for it. Here is an identity that is built on blame, and here are brothers who feel exactly the same way. And fuck them. I don't need them. And in the short term, that works, because belonging is belonging. Even when it's built on separation, even when it's built on pointing out to people that don't look like you, that don't share the same label as you, and saying, well, fuck them. Fuck them. And even when it hardens something inside of you that was already struggling to stay soft and to stay vulnerable. That whole incel pipeline, the red pill, blue pill, they aren't just ideological movements. They are, at their root, a response to unmet needs for intimacy, for vulnerability, for permission to be who they are without the identities that they have been given. A permission to be something else other than this archetype that, that so many of us have created our entire worlds around. So rather than attending to that need, it's almost like a calcification happens around it. That vulnerability becomes armor. And really, all that it's built on is just a hunger for connection, which all of us need. Every single one of us needs connection, community, people who see us. And the other answer, the other road, looks like the kind of thing that happens in my sessions. That same unmet need, that same longing to be seen, to be witnessed, to exist outside of the performance of masculinity for 5 fucking minutes. But instead of hardening, it's allowed to soften, it's allowed to melt. Instead of blaming, it looks inwards and it explores. Instead of pointing and separating, it brings those people closer. It connects. It creates a bridge to the self, but to another person, to something that feels more true. Same hunger, same need, very different destination. And I think about that fork in the road a lot. When men come to me to explore femininity, to be dressed up, adorned, made soft, witnessed in their softness, to understand and relate to pleasure in a different way, it's never one thing that has brought them there, and every person is unique. But in my experience, in the 5 years professionally that I've been doing this, and in the 12 years that I've been practicing kink, it's usually a combination of these 3 things. The first is exhaustion. Complete exhaustion from the performance of masculinity and how relentless and all-encompassing it is, and how there isn't a holiday that you can take from it. There's no space, put it down. It's not like a jacket that they feel that they can just take off. So they're exhausted and they need to open a door. So they find a door. And they find the door of femininity. And that door of femininity becomes a symbol of everything that they've been denied. Softness, care, the right to be held rather than always holding, the right to not be the initiator in the bedroom, the right to move their body in a different way. It's not that they want to be women, they don't want to be a woman, they don't want to change gender. They want access to what they believe that women are allowed to have innately. So that's the first one. It's the first reason. The second reason that someone might come with a need to explore femininity is just genuine play. They just want to play. I just want to lean into the pure erotic, transformative element of play. They just want to enjoy themselves, just want to play. And when you take the weight of identity off it and the construct of gender, when you step outside of like all that is wrapped up in and step outside of that, it is just fucking fun and extraordinary to play with. Clothing, makeup, persona. Why are these things innately tied to gender? These are costumes. And humans have always fucking loved costumes and dressing up. So some men that come to me, they're not carrying a psychological story. They're not necessarily trying to work for anything in that way. They just find the expression of it truly alive, and it's almost like the transgression of it itself is a part of the pleasure, and that is enough. And we can we like to pathologize, and it can be really easy sometimes to pathologize what it means to step into femininity and to explore something like sissification. But kink fundamentally doesn't need to be tied to some healing journey. It can just be playful and silly, and it is for a lot of people. So that's the second reason. And the third reason that someone might come to me in this way, and this is the one that asks the most of me, is someone who is searching. They're searching. They don't have the language yet for it, for why they're searching or what they are, but they know that they have spent decades inside a gender, and that gender has always felt like a borrowed coat. And our time together becomes a room where they're allowed to stand and breathe. And there doesn't necessarily have to be a resolution, but it becomes a container for them to maybe feel what's actually there, maybe for the first time. So within that, sometimes people realize actually that they do not resonate with the gender that they were given, that they do not like that label anymore, that label does not work for them. However, that isn't true for everybody, and I would argue that that is a very small percentage of the people that I've witnessed who are trying to explore their femininity. And often, when people step into this, it's a combination of all three at once. And it ebbs and it flows, and the body doesn't necessarily distinguish between them, it just kind of is, and it melts into that. Now, as the years have gone on, I've been on my own journey with gender, with labels, with the question of who I am exactly in this present moment, not the moments that led me here. And I'm not going to map my journey and how I relate to these labels onto my clients' journeys, because they're not the same. They're fundamentally not the same. But what I know and what is true for me is what it feels like to hold a story that is about yourself that doesn't fit, and the ways in which that restricts and limits and changes how you perceive and enjoy the world. And how fucking beautiful it is to begin sensing what has always been outside of your reach, that you have felt that you've not been able to explore because of a certain category. And what happens when you start to slowly ask, what if I put that story down for a moment? What if I step away from that version of me that I have believed to be true, that other people have told me to true? What is actually here right now? What is true for me right now? And that question is and can be terrifying, but it's also so fucking liberating. And it is ongoing. There's never going to be a final version of us. It doesn't resolve, it just deepens. That understanding of yourself just continues to deepen. And I think that that is the most important question that a person can ask themselves. Who am I right now in this moment? When you make it safe enough for somebody to not know the answer to those questions, something real starts to happen, something starts to expand within us. It's not always dramatic, it's sometimes really quiet, and unassuming, but it is real. It is real. And that's what I mean when I talk about melting into balance. It's not a loss of self, it's not a dissolution of all that you are and all that you've ever known and all the ways that you've ever identified, but it is a balancing, it's a recalibrating, it's room for other parts of you that were locked out getting to come in. It's parts of you that may be overworked, getting to rest for a moment. It is a person becoming more and more whole and more room for us in our infinite complexity and all the possible ways that we could be if we were just given permission. The answer to loneliness that so many of us face, but especially men, is witnessing. It's being seen fully, the truth of what you are, including the parts that you've been told were wrong or weak or shameful. Having somebody look at that and not flinch, not try and fix it, but just hold it, just witness it, just see it. That's what happens in my sessions when it's working. I'm not trying to give anyone therapy. I'm not trying to fix anybody. I'm not trying to tell anybody what is right and what is wrong or how they should be. I'm simply trying to offer a container in which a person gets to be witnessed in their full complexity. And if in their full complexity they want to explore femininity, they want to explore the features and the elements of what it means to be a woman, or to be more feminine, then that is what I witness. And so often, what I witness when that happens is a visible relaxing, is a melting, is a softening. Because we are so starved of genuine witnessing, genuine truth. All of us, every single one of us, but men in particular, under the weight of masculinity and what it demands. And those are the people who are most starved and often the least able to ask for it. And so some of them find a room like mine, a space like mine, where they can play and they can be free and they can wear a wig and they can pick out frilly pink underwear or whatever femininity looks like for them. And some of those people find a forum that tells them that their hunger is a weapon. And the difference in the people that choose which door to open and how the journey to that door looks is nothing to do with intelligence or character or moral fiber or anything like that. So often, it is simply, which door did you find first? Which door did you have access to? What option was available to you when you were at your loneliest, when you were at your most vulnerable, when you were at your most needing of care? That's the difference in the path that people take. It's not about who's good and who's bad. It really, truly is which door found its way to them first. And I think that's important to remember for everybody because it's easy to go to a place of separation, especially with those who cause us harm, who hurt us in their words, in their actions, and understandably, we want to keep them and people who are like them, who have the capacity to be like that, at arm's length. But so much of it is luck of the draw. So much of it is what ideas are we exposed to? What containers did we have access to? What kinds of people do we have the opportunity to speak with, discuss, have our mind changed? So it's more and more and more important that we have containers for vulnerability for everybody, but especially for men. And it would be great if more of those containers weren't just spaces for therapy or support groups, but actually spaces that were embodied and alive and juicy and pleasurable. And this might seem like a niche interest that I'm talking about, but I truly feel actually like it's urgent. It's a thing that is needed more than ever. I often think about how we've found ourselves in a world where it feels so radical to simply see someone, like to genuinely see them, not the performance, not the identity that they walked in wearing, the thing underneath it, the truth that's been waiting, presence in that moment, truth in that moment. And I think about the fact that I've needed that too. That I'm still in that, I'm still asking the questions, I'm still finding out what's here when the story gets quiet. Some days it's easier to identify what's a story and what's not, and to step away and move away from that, and to make choices from a genuine place of what it is that I need and want and am in that moment. And other days it's hard. Being human is hard. It's complex. It's difficult. And leaning on one another and allowing truth to step into our connections with one another and our connections with ourselves make the world a lot lighter. They make it a lot easier. Makes it feel like we've got more of a choice. And we all want a choice. What we all want. We all want to be able to have the freedom to make a choice about who we are and be seen more than what we were handed with at birth, what we were handed with from the people in our life. And yeah, the world gets a lot more interesting, gets a lot more honest, it gets a lot more free, more genuinely connected every time someone finds the courage to find out what else is there. And I feel very, 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 very fucking lucky that I get to witness that on such a regular basis in my job, in the containers that I create. I feel really, really, truly lucky. So thank you for watching, and thank you to every person that I've ever had the pleasure of being able to genuinely witness. Just know that it is a privilege that I don't take for granted, and it means the world to me, and I'm proud of everyone. I'm proud of you all out there for looking inwards and asking the questions. And if this landed somewhere in you, I'd love to know where. I'd love to know the ways in which you are unraveling and deconstructing those stories that you have been told, that you've told yourself. Give me a win. I love hearing all the wins that people have in their life. So be honest. And because it'll just make my heart beam to hear. So I'll just take a nice deep breath to finish. Give ourselves a hug and tell ourselves that whatever version of us wants to come and take the wheel, whatever truth wants to be spoken is allowed. Let's give ourselves permission to be who we actually want to be and make that a choice. Sending you so much love bugs.